Hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel, K-Melody Drama Club. I'm Samantha, and if you're new here, welcome. Every week, I post videos about K-pop, K-drama, C-drama, etc. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, hit that subscribe button and don't forget to hit the bell notification so you can stay up to date on all my latest content. Today, I'm super excited because I am finally bringing you video 3 of Guardians of the Dafeng, going over episodes 27 through 40. Now, if you haven't checked out Guardians of the Dafeng yet, it's not too late. You can still check it out on WeTV, Tencent, and Viki. It's 40 episodes long, and to be honest, you could probably binge watch it. It is that good, and that just on the edge of your seat. You can't believe what's going to happen next, and you can't wait to see what happens next. For those of you that don't know, Guardians of the Fang stars Wang Haidi and Tian Ziwei. I apologize in advance if I mispronounce anyone's names. That is not my intent. I do try my absolute best, and I'm continuing to work at my pronunciation skills, so I do apologize in advance. So let's get started. Now, where we left off was with Zukian, and he had that, that spirit living inside of him, if you will, which that spirit's name is Shinshu. Now remember, Zukian isn't exactly like happy about this, but the spirit has let him know that, so long as he is a part of him, Zukian is safe and virtually unstoppable. And Zukian kind of likes the idea of that. He likes being, a stronger opponent now and not having to fear too much as far as death goes. Now, a lot of things happen in these last 13-ish episodes, and honestly, the last 4 episodes are by far the most emotional in my opinion. I swear, I have never cried so much over a drama in my life. This drama definitely has you feeling all of the emotions. Which, honestly, in my own personal opinion, that's the kind of drama that I enjoy. I like a drama that you can just feel all the emotions. Laughter, happiness, sadness, anger even, and I'll get to that later. You'll see what I mean. But anyways, I like a drama that, really pulls you in, really pulls at your heartstrings, and you feel all the emotions. Honestly, that is the best kind of drama and the best kind of storytelling. Let's just be so for real about it, Now, Princess Linan, the one that is secretly in love with our Zukian, although that hasn't came out yet, you can just kind of tell. It's just kind of leading in that direction at this point. Anyways, she hears that Zukian isn't really dead, and she goes searching for him. When she finds him, she immediately runs and embraces him, and he's kind of in shock, like, oh, the princess is here. And of all the places, it's like at their old house where they used to live, instead of where, like, she knows where he currently lives. But she runs and she embraces him, and they gaze at each other for a moment, and then she begins to close her eyes, and he leans into her as if they're about to kiss, and then she faints conveniently. I swear, this girl and her fainting skills is top notch. I guess she got a little too overwhelmed by all of her emotions of like, Zukian's not dead, he's here in front of me. It just kind of overtook her, I guess. But also, honestly, like, big mood. Like, I think if Wang Haidi was, in front of me, I'd get overwhelmed with emotions too. I say that with the utmost respect. Just want to put that out there. Anyways, Zukian takes her home, but that wasn't as simple as a task as it sounds. Like, he gets her home and he goes to lay her down, and she's clinging to him. And it's kind of funny how they like play this scene and replay it back to back to kind of show how clingy she is and then when she isn't. So like, imagine he's holding her in his arms, right? Like this, like a romantic way of carrying her, right? So he's holding her. Her arms are kind of sort of around his neck, like really loosely. But then anytime he goes to lay her down, like, she doesn't naturally lay. She's still holding on. And he's like, he goes lay her down and she doesn't quite go like, doesn't go like it should. And he makes a face like, what is happening? And, he raises back up and he's like, all right, let's try this again. Goes do it. She's still hanging on. And he's like, huh? Goes do it again. Nope. He does finally come up with a plan that involves her assistant. or like her lady's maid, if you will, however you want to look at her, to be honest. And he's basically what ends up happening is he ends up using her as like like someone she can hold on to so that ultimately they can detach each other, if you will, and he can go on his way. She clearly needs her rest, and he has other places he needs to be in that moment. So, but I really appreciated how they played that moment out and how comical they made it for her being like clingy and stuck onto him, and he's like, I can't shake her. Sukian seeks help to get into the personals library for information on his case that he's currently working on, and his cousin tells him that he has a friend that can help. Come to find out, our own Zhu actually does sort of have a woman, but he does not at all have a way with the ladies. This poor girl, Simu, deals with a lot from Zhu. They ultimately want to get married, but Zhu doesn't think that he'll ever be good enough. And he's not wrong. I'm going to just be honest. They did date. They kind of imply like they dated for a while. And like, it just, things, maybe they had a small falling out. Maybe they got separated for whatever reason. But when they reunite, they make it seem like it's been a little while since they've seen each other. And like, the emotions are very much still there. Zhu is trying to graduate from the academy and become an official. And Simu's dad is a prime minister. And he's not only in charge of the personal library, but he's also, how Zhu would be approved to be an official in the first place. And it doesn't help that her dad doesn't particularly care for him. Bless his heart. So it's a whole mess. But our Zukian watches Zhu and Simu try to reunite, and it's both hilarious and frustrating, to be quite honest. And our Zukian does an amazing job of showcasing the viewers' feelings in that moment. He is showing us how he feels about it, and how he feels about it is how we feel about it. Like, he exhibits those feelings and emotions and thoughts in the exact same way of what we're thinking. It's as if he's reading our mind. So he does a particularly very well job of doing that. Wang Heidi truly does understand how we all feel while this game of chase happens. Simu does help Zhu get into the library, and they do both look for what Zukian needs. Simu's dad finds out, and he doesn't take it too well. He finds out that Simu is at the library and that she's not alone, and when he walks in, he sees them together. And her dad, remember, this is very much like a time period drama. So his dad kind of, I would say, is like her dad. I'm sorry. Her dad is very much kind of like old fashioned, if you will. So like, he just assumes the worst. And he quite literally kicks Zhu out of the building, and like, it's in front of everybody that's there. Zhu is super humiliated. And he quite literally goes home crying, bless his heart. Once again, further putting it in his head that he's not good enough for Simu and that he'll never get her father's approval. Sadly, though, they did not quite find what Zukian needed and what he was looking for, so that search continues. Simu shows up later at the residence of Zhu and, like, introduces herself to his family and starts giving them, like, these luxurious gifts, like, really high-end gifts. She gave the dad, like, a sword and gave the mom, I believe it was like a really pretty hairpin, and like gave the oldest daughter something, and then the mom ended up taking it. So then she gave the older daughter like really nice like facial cream. She gave the youngest one some snacks, which key to her heart, which also mood. And then, like, she's trying to basically win favor with his family because, secretly she wants to marry into that family. She wants all of them to like her. So she's like given all these luxurious gifts, and his family is just eating it up. They're like, "Oh my gosh, you're so sweet. You're welcome here anytime." Just really eating it up. Meanwhile, while all of this is happening, Zu is complaining to Zukian about how embarrassed he was, how badly all that went down, and like our Zukian is just like basically he's laying there and he's like, yeah, it's fine. It's not that big of a deal, and like is really not paying all that much attention, but he's letting him vent or whatever. And like while this is going on, um Zu tries to commit suicide again, guys. Like, who remembers in my first video where I talked about how the Zu family was, like the men were up for death over the tax silver case, and the women were being transported away, and so the only person that was getting basically a pass and all of that was Zu himself because he worked or he was going to the academy. He already had a very early, promising life ahead of him, if you will. Like he was already favored upon in that aspect, so he kind of got a pass for that. And he tried to commit suicide then because he thought, well, I'm not gonna have any family left. He's very what can I say? Very extreme with his emotions for sure. So again, he tries to hang himself, and Zukian's like, not again. And so he runs to his rescue per usual. And Samu wants to go see him. And so mom and dad's like, yeah, let's go see him. And they go walking over, to the building where his room is. And the dad goes to open the door and he's like, oh, and he like sees what's happening, quickly closes it, turns around, tries to like delay. And the mom's like not catching on. She's like, what are you doing? And she goes to open the door. And she sees it and she turns around. She's like, you know what? Now's not a good time. He's studying. He's really studying hard right now. Like, for the love of God, don't let her see it and him be more embarrassed. They do finally get it together. And when she does, walk in and see him, he does really appear like he's studying. And meanwhile, Zukian's over here like kicking the rope behind his desk, trying to hide it. Like, let's not draw attention to what just happened. Let's just act like it didn't happen. So he's very extreme with his emotions, that's for sure. The prime minister gets in hot water with the emperor and is at risk of losing his job and his title. And Lord Wei sees this as an opportunity to join together the guardians and the prime minister and his officials. And so he finds or has, however you want to look at that, some missing documents, and decides to help in this case to try and kind of, I guess you could say, kind of like form an understanding or an alliance with each other, if you will, because they haven't exactly had the best relationship leading up to this point. They've kind of rather been at odds with each other because, they both have their own jurisdictions, if you will. So they're kind of always at odds with each other when they meet for like legal court proceedings, if you will, with the emperor. So anyways, he passes the missing documents on to Zukian and tells him, like, you need to get these to him. And this way, it should help his case, but also he'll know it's from me. It'll kind of form an understanding between us. And Zukian gets the bright idea that he's like, I'm not going to give it to him. But you know who is? Zu's going to give it to him, because if he does this, it also will look good on Zu. Maybe that'll make their bond a little better, right? Because him and the prime minister aren't exactly on the best of terms, right? So he gives it to him and he says, okay, listen, you're not going to like this, but I'm going to have to beat you up because it's got to look like, I punished you for like these going missing in the first place. He wants it to look like he stole them and he's returning them. He Oh my gosh. He literally clubs him with this, like, giant fruit thing or whatever. He clubs him with it. And he looks beat up. And it was so funny as he's choosing weapon of choice. He's like, we can't do that. Like, that's too much. So he settles on this. Anyways. So Zhu then goes and meets the prime minister's daughter, looking battered and beaten, and passes the documents on to her, and then she then passes it on to the prime minister and lets him know, like, hey, Zhu gave me these to give to you, as like a goodwill, if you will. Maybe you can cut him some slack. So, the prime minister knows, it secretly came from Zukian, came from Lord Wei, and so he agrees, like, I'm gonna let, Zukian view whatever documents he's looking for. They occasionally put them outside while I think like routine maintenance is being done. They'll put a bunch of the documents they keep saved outside during the night in like a secure area, obviously. And so he tells them, like, while the documents are out, you can view them. And so he agrees to that. While viewing those documents, Zukian notices that many of these documents have a blank where a name should be, almost as if someone was erased from historical files. Two Realm Sect members who, remember, they don't know each other. That's, they've never met, but they, they know each other by other names, if that makes sense. The winged woman and one of the other Realm Sect members. The whole point of the Realm Sect is, to pretty well keep your names a secret and to keep each other a secret. Like, you're not supposed to know who the other is. Or at least that's kind of how they portray it to being. But some of them have, obviously, nicknames and or known by other names, if you will, like the Winged Lady. Everybody knows who the Winged Lady is, and that's what she's known by. But her and another Realm Sect member don't get along. They've threatened death upon each other. They're like, if we ever see each other, we're going to be in the biggest fight, and you're going to lose. And, like, that's how they talk anytime they have a Realm Sect call. But anyways, they end up meeting by chance and by accident. And even when they meet, they do not know who the other is. In that moment, they are kind of coming together for the common good. They both believe in what they are fighting for. There's a couple different moments where this happens, and they're like, fighting together. And then they get really drunk, and they're like, man, I really like you. You're pretty cool. They have this real deep understanding for each other because they're drunk. And like, he even tells her about his weapon. She tells him about her weapon. Probably not the smartest idea, but whatever. And like, they're like, well, maybe one day we'll have a big battle. And they're like, yeah, one day we'll have a battle. And he's like, well, my sword is specifically reserved. I've never used it in like 10, I believe he says like 10 years. He says, I've never used it. I am basically, conserving it, and I am building up my power and my energy into the sword so that when I do unleash it, it causes, great damage to the person the sword is meant for. And he implies that it's meant for the Winged Lady, but like, he doesn't give any specifics. And then she also is like understanding of that. She's like, yeah, I also have somebody that, I want to fight. And they basically say, well, good luck to you in that fight. May you be successful. May you be successful in your endeavors. They're too nice while they're drunk. But so basically all of this is to say that when Zukian is viewing these documents, right, the two Realm Sect members are together, and they are talking. And at one point, they find out who the other is. And they immediately go into fighting. That's why this is so important. They immediately go into fighting because, remember, they're like enemies of each other. They didn't realize who the other one was up until this point, but they are enemies of each other. And the reason this is important is because their big fight draws attention to the Guardians. And like I said previously in my previous video about this show, Zukian tries his best to distance his, who he is and keep quiet. He always poses as his cousin Zhu, but goes by Zukian. So, like, they know his actual name, right? But they don't know that he's a guardian. They think Zoo's the guardian, right? And so he's like, since he's a guardian and he's always busy, I help him. And I have his realm sect phone for that reason. So the pretty much the only thing he really changes is professions. He says he's the one going to the academy while Zoo is the guardian, which is not true. And I firmly believe he does this because he doesn't want the realm sect to abuse his power of authority as a guardian and get him to do things, but that still honestly ends up happening anyways. So like I said, he's viewing documents. They're having this big battle. All of a sudden, Zukian catches on to this battle going on, and he notices like all of a sudden that all the guardians are being attracted to this, and he's like, "Oh crap, this is not good." He is actually forced to uh, choose sides in this moment. And I know that sounds crazy. I mean, it's not like you know, it's not like choosing who's better or anything like that. It's a matter of like he can't help them both escape underneath the Guardian's radar. Like there's no way. He has to pick one, and then the other one he has put in touch with someone else to help them, go undetected. Y'all need to separate, and we need to hide you for all intents purposes because y'all have drawn too much attention that now the Guardians are looking for you and wanting to intervene and find out why why are y'all battling? Why are y'all fighting? And there's just too much that doesn't need to get out. Now, Zukian ends up helping the Winged Lady, as she is known in many of the realms. They work together quite a bit on different things. He'll enlist her help for different, cases he's working on that he thinks that she might could be of use, and he in turn returns the favor. Zukian's big on stuff like that, where equal exchange, right? So he's working with her on a case already, so he agrees. I'll take you. I will help hide you and get you out of the city, while another realm sect member helps the other, right? So that's what he decides to do. Now, while Zukian is helping her, he has been spending his spare time investigating details that led up to his death from before. He has also been trying to find out more about, this mysterious spirit that now inhabits his body. So Zukian is trying to use whatever resources he possibly can to get more information. At this time, no one is still aware that he possesses this spirit, or so he thinks. A mysterious man wanders into town by the name of Dooku from Tianyu. This is important and crucial to the storyline because Dooku summons a Tianyu Dharma. Again, I apologize if I mispronounce any of that. Basically, he looks like a godly giant almost that he summons. This thing is absolutely huge. Everyone can see it in the sky, no matter where you are in Dafeng. Its power is so strong that it can basically use extreme force and gravity, then becomes your enemy. And your body will immediately be forced to the ground. Only people of high spiritual level can withstand it. For example, Gold Guardians are able to withstand it. We see Lord Wei's daughter actually protecting Lord Wei from its extreme forces. Now, Zukian makes a good effort, but he does reach as low as to like one knee on the ground. Meanwhile, Zukian's uncle is like acting like this is a daggum competition. And he's saying things like, we Zoo men are strong. We can't be defeated by this. And meanwhile, like his uncle is like going all the way to the ground. He is like full body on the ground, laying flat. And he's like, we can't let it defeat us. We Zoo men are strong. And Zukian is like, again, only one knee on the ground. Is just like, speak for yourself, man. So clearly his uncle is handling this situation a lot worse than Zukian is. All of a sudden, the spirit in Zukian feels this extreme force and slams his hand on the ground, metaphorically speaking, since he's in like a created space within Zukian's mind. All of a sudden, the extreme force is lifted from Zukian and he is no longer affected. He can now stand up unfazed. This is important because this shows us just a small taste of Zukian's new abilities while being technically sort of kind of possessed by this spiritual being inside of him. His uncle is absolutely dumbfounded from seeing this as he lays completely on the ground, unable to stand. This guy, Dooku, is here to take the spirit and the arm back home. Dooku is seen standing outside of Zukian's place, and you see Zukian on the other side at one point of the door, basically charging his ki. They can both sense the other on each side of the door. The supervisor intervenes and zaps Dooku to him. The supervisor knows all, and in theory is in control of all. He is also head of the Bureau. He kind of reminds me of God. At the same time, he wants others to make their own decisions and handle things, while he watches from afar. Now, he knows Zukian has the spirit inside of him. He also knows that Zukian would turn out to be so good and so powerful as a guardian. He is part of the reason why Zukian became a guardian. Through power persuasion, I guess you could say. He actually persuaded the princess to take notice in him and to enlist his help as a guardian. Dooku and his friend tell the supervisor that they want their friend back, Shinshu, otherwise known as that spirit inside of Zukian. The supervisor tells them that Shinshu has to stay with Zukian for now, basically, due to he's still recovering, right? And if they try to remove him, he'll die, essentially. He also lets them know that Zukian also holds Dafeng's fortune inside of him, something that has been missing for like 20 years. So it should be noted that Dafeng and Tianyu have had an agreement with each other for many, many years. So for them to see this now, Tianyu Dharma, it tells the townspeople something's up. Like, oh no, like we've had peace with them for many years. Why all of a sudden is all of this happening? Like they're starting to question this. Zukian learns that the Emperor has ordered him to destroy the Dharma in the sky. Now remember, Zukian is just a silver gong, and the Emperor doesn't like him. The Emperor even admits that he doesn't trust him, but ultimately the supervisor asks to borrow him from the Emperor for this specific task. See, the supervisor knows more and knows all. He clearly believes in Zukian. Now, while Zukian is unsure of his own abilities, the supervisor knows what he possesses and what he's capable of. Zukian does suspect that the supervisor chose him and that he might know, but he has not confirmed that. Princess Linan tries to boost Zukian's confidence of himself and, lets him know that she believes he's perfect to destroy the Dharma. She also tells him to be thinking of what reward he wants. Now, what's funny about this is Zukian tells her if by some luck he wins, he would ask for a pardon token. Princess Linan quickly reminds him that that pardon token is only good for one, basically one protection, a one-time protection. Once you use it, it's gone. What he really needs is noble status. If he can get noble status and start to gain those noble connections, then he will be, always protected, essentially. And, and then maybe maybe he can, find a lovely lady of noble status. You can see where she's going with this and what she's hinting at. Princess Linan tells Zukian that if he asks for status, he will gain many who can help protect him. And then he could easily, marry into royalty if he played his cards right. Again, you see where she's going with this. The day comes to destroy the Dharma, and Zukian is so nervous thinking he might possibly die. And honestly, all of the townspeople of Dafeng have so much faith in him and have heard of his, impressive deeds thus far, if you will, um, and things he's been able to overcome since joining the Guardians, that they have absolute faith in him that he can do this. But Zukian doesn't have that faith in himself. He's like, I'm just a silver gong. I am not even a high level ranking yet, even though I'm still working at it. Like, he feels like he is set up to fail, and he's not feeling super confident. Um, this is a huge deal in Dafeng. Everyone is gathered around watching to see the Dharma taken down, and many are even feasting. There is like, view it kind of like if you've ever seen, I know this is a stretch, but view it like if you've ever seen like the movie 300, right? It's like a round dome kind of area, and all the people are sitting around in like at tables, and they're feasting. But this particular area is not just for anybody. This is for, um, you know, royalty. This is for the guardians. This is for, um, like the minister, the officials, all the higher up type people of status are here. Now, the only reason Zukian's family is present is because Zukian's the one fighting, right? That is literally the only reason they are there. So they are also feasting. And the Bureau makes like a, almost like a, think Star Wars projection, right? They set up a projection, if you will, in the middle to where everybody that's there can kind of see what's happening in the sky. Yes, Zukian has to travel into the sky. And I know what you're thinking, like, how does he do that? The he is at the bureau, and the bureau actually creates like stairs into the sky, if you will, so that he can walk his way up to the Dharma, right? Because it's like a considerable distance away, but it's so big, right? So he literally climbs the stairway to heaven, essentially. Um, and what's great about this is Linan, Princess Linan, sees him right before he goes, and she gives him the book of poems that he's written. Which, remember, those poems are actual poems from his timeline that he's read. He's never finished one because he never finished reading it. So it's just partial poems from his actual timeline, right? So the people of Dafeng know no different. They just think he is this gifted poet, right? Anyways, so she gives it to him, and as he's ascending into the heavens, he is reading poetry. Which I guess is kind of poetic in and of itself. But you just see this very, like, you see Zukian, this very serious, guy at the time, and he is just, you know, ascending these magical invisible stairs, if you will, into the sky while reading poetry, ready to battle. Like, it's just an interesting combination, to be honest. Um, Now, this fight that's about to take place is not your typical fight, right? It's not a fight of physical strength. It is a fight of mental strength. It is a mental fight. It all happens in your head. What's interesting about this is only Zukian and Dooku, who's in control of the Dharma, only those two know what's happening in the battle. The townspeople, what they see is they see the Dharma in the sky, and they see Zukian frozen. He's not moving. Again, this is a battle of mental in the mind. So, from our perspective, for part of it, and from the townspeople's perspective, it is very much that Zukian is like frozen in place, and he's got his hand on his sword, but he's frozen in place. His eyes are closed, and he's not moving. So that's all they see. They don't have a clue what's happening in his mind. Now, what happens in his mind is it is basically what we see is that it's showcasing his human life. Dooku essentially asks that $1 million question. Basically, what's the meaning of life? What is so important about your life? And you basically see events that happen in his real human life, like from birth all the way to death. And then it gets silly. And I'm here for it. I'm absolutely here for the silly. I love that Guardians of the Fang is very much a comedy drama. Love it. So it gets very silly. I have to admit, I never expected in my wildest dreams to see Wang Heidi old. I didn't expect that. And when people started showing images on Twitter, I was like, no, what is that? Oh no, why is he old? But listen, he did such a phenomenal job of portraying that character as an old man. I don't know many young actors that could do that. So it was quite impressive and just goes to show how impressive his acting truly is and how much growth he has had in his years of acting. I mean, he absolutely nails it for playing an old person, but also gave us some comedic relief at the same time. So it was very mind-blowing and impressive, to be quite honest. Like I said, Zukian the battle's happening in his mind, and it's showing his life, like real life events. Nothing to do with Dafeng. It's his real human life. And he relives it on repeat. And the whole concept is he's supposed to be explaining the meaning of life. That's what this fight is. And can he break out of that cycle that cycle of life? That's the whole point of this battle. If he can break out of that cycle, he can defeat the Dharma. But if he can't, he would essentially just be trapped in his own mind and die, is what they imply. They don't, that's kind of what's implied would happen if he can't break out of it. Can he outsmart this Dooku and his Dharma? So, like I said, we see his human normal life and his death on a repeat at first. Dooku's thinking how sad and how weak he is. Like, he's sitting here going, you were born, you didn't make it into the police academy, your relationship failed, his true love relationship at the time failed, and it kind of shows that he got married and had a kid, but that their life is not very well off, and they're struggling and they're not happy. Then he basically dies. It doesn't show much significance according to Dooku. Zukian snaps out of it, and he gives him this really long speech, dies, comes back, tries to continue the speech, which is what's comedic about this whole scene, is he is giving this whole speech, and he'll go, oh, wait, I'll finish when I come back, and he'll die, and then he'll come back through the door. And for an old man, he's very spry. He's walking through that door and he's like, I'm back. Did you miss me? And then continues his long speech. Oh my gosh. Now, what's great about this was we get to actually see parts of Dylan. And it becomes a game of troll, honestly. If you're a big Dylan Wayne fan, then he absolutely loves basketball and he loves to play it in his spare time. In fact, he's been invited not once but twice to the NBA All-Star Celebrity Games in the US. So, just saying, he really loves basketball. It's a huge passion of his. But we randomly see Zukian with a basketball in his old age. And I personally think that's so it's odd, but it also makes sense. It's very weird. So for me, I'm it's really odd because this is a time period drama. They would not have basketballs like this. But also I'm okay, but we're showcasing his human life, so maybe it does make sense. Anyways, that's just my mind thinking. But anyways, he's comes in with a basketball, and you're like, what? And then we also see Zukian sing and dance, if you will, to his infamous song Seaside Tango from like with Dooku from the angle of a phone. Again, my mind immediately went to this is a time period drama. They wouldn't have cell phones like that. But then I'm like, in the real human world of normal life, they would. I'm not gonna question it. I was here for it. It was hilarious. I absolutely love that they found ways to incorporate Dylan songs. Here, watch. 我又来了！你拍过短视频吗？轻盈的脚步。Dooku gets so frustrated, and it's quite fun to watch him get frustrated at his own game. Finally, Dooku snaps and can't hold the trance anymore, which gives Zukian the ability to snap out of the trance and charge his key up real quick. So while we are seeing him like holding his sword, his eyes open for like a split second, and he starts to unsheath his sword. Not a lot, but a little bit. And you can see that key charging up. And then he closes his eyes to go back into the trance. He purposely went back into it. And Dooku also went back into the trance. Like, it was very much snapped out of it. And then he's like, I got to get back into it. We're not done. So he gets back into it. And while Zukian is like charging up his key, the most amazing thing happens. The most prized possession of the Academy in Dafeng, the second sage's knife, calls to him and lends its power to him to help destroy the Dharma with one hit. You literally see it fly from the Academy where it was being housed at all the way up into the sky, and it meets with Zukian's sword. It is amazing to watch. So I definitely encourage you to go check out Guardians of the Dafeng so you can see for yourself. Now this whole act took so much strength to destroy the Dharma that once Zukian strikes the Dharma and it begins to crumble and starts to fall, metaphorically speaking, because I don't think it shows you it actually quote falling to the ground. I just think it dissipates, if you will. But Zukian passes out and begins to free fall in the sky. Just free falling. There's nothing there to catch him. I mean, again, this whole battle took place in the sky. Here comes the Emperor's Lung to the rescue. Yes! Catching Zukian mid-air and flying him away to safety. Now, we all love this. Absolutely love this, but we know it absolutely pissed off the Emperor. He can't stand that the Lung is more loyal to someone without status than the Emperor himself. Salty. Zukian did what he was asked, so he was now requesting his reward, and he requested the title of nobility. The Emperor also decides to put Zukian ahead of the newest case, the bloodshed case. Everything that happens from here on out will be associated with the bloodshed case, and Zukian is heading up. Dooku shows up later at the zoo residence, and he literally freezes time, if you will. So all of the zoo family is frozen, and even our Zukian is frozen. He did manage to draw his sword, but that was about it. He approaches Zukian with his powers, and he touches his forehead. And with using his powers, he is able to, if you will, go inside of his mind and talk to Shinshu. He does find out that he's okay, and that he just needs to wait patiently for him, but he's safe. Once the spell is broken, Zukian strikes at Dooku. Gotta remember, he had already drawn his sword. He was already mid, strike. So when time unfreezes, he, finishes his strike. Zukian asks, "How did you know Shinshu was inside of me?" He learns that the dark figure who told them about him, he learns about him, and Zukian inquires about who the dark figure is, and they tell him that he's a hypnotizer from the witch sect. He is told that for now, so long as Shinshu is inside him, he's safe. As the deal is that Shinshu belongs to Tianyu, Zukian is to be captured by the dark figure from the witches sect. Like, that's a pact deal that the Tianyu clan has with this dark, mysterious figure from the witch sect. That he told the hypnotizer told them, you can have Shinshu. I don't care. I don't need him. When he comes out, you can have him. But Zukian is mine. Now, as of right now, Zukian doesn't know why this witch sect hypnotizer wants him, but he's now aware that he is, and he's told, basically, don't leave Dafeng. You won't be safe if you leave the walls. Later, Zukian goes to Lord Wei and talks to him, asking him different questions and whatnot, trying to get out more information regarding Dafeng's missing treasure. And along the way, Lord Wei does find out that Zukian has Shinshu inside of him and Dafeng's missing treasure inside of him. And at first he's kind of angry, like, you know, disappointed type of angry. Like, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you think you could come to me with this information? Why do you continue to basically, like, not trust me and not tell me things? And Zukian's, you know, I'm sorry, grabs his, like, please forgive me. Which is also quite funny to watch. So, for now, it is what it is. Lord Wei doesn't say anything. He keeps it to himself. Again, Zukian and Lord Wei very much have a very deep understanding. And typically, Zukian reports everything he finds out to Lord Wei as he finds out about it. But, like, in this particular case, he just was not sure how Lord Wei would view that. Like, would he be safe if he found out? You know, there's just a lot of unknowns related to everything that's inside of him. Zukian sets sail on the bloodshed case. He has to go by boat. And Princess Linan comes to see him off. But she's a little late. Zukian and his entire team that he has to go with him are on the boat. They're in the middle of the water. They're not that far away from land, but they're a little ways out. And Princess Linan shows up, and being her drastic in the moment self, is like going over to this boat that's over here beside the land and is like untying it, getting it ready because she's gonna hop on it and set sail. And you gotta imagine, like, this princess doing all this work and not having anybody doing it for her. Like, it's quite wild. And she's yelling to Zukian. Well, there's too much distance between them that all Zukian can hear is, you know, her saying Zukian. But he thinks something's wrong or something. So he jumps off the boat, swims to her, gets on it. He's like, what did you need? And she's like, oh, nothing. Good luck. And he's like, you just called me all the way over here to tell me that. And she's like, yeah. They do end up talking a little bit more before he goes. He does tell her that, you know, he plans to get his noble status, and he admits to her so that he can one day marry her. So that right there was just him confessing feelings in his own way, if you will. Like, officially we have confirmation. They do like each other. They do want to be together. And then they share this, like, intense, passionate kiss before he leaves. On their travel, Zukian learns that the Duchess Zibe, I hope I said that right, is on board their boat. She is being transported on the way. Now, what's funny about this is Zukian has met her before a few times. He just doesn't know it. A lot of times the Duchess poses as a maid to navigate around town in the open without being exposed or without being, you know, bombarded by the people or anything like that. Nobody knows that about her. So he's actually run into her a few times. He has this, like, lucky ability to find missing pouches of money all over Dafeng, and he's got a drawer in his room full of them. Now, he has figured out that they all belong to the same person, but he does not realize he's been basically stealing from the Duchess herself, because she keeps losing her pouches of money when she goes walking around town. She has confronted him about this once before and called him out for collecting it and not returning it as a guardian and doing the right thing. Again, even then, he did not realize who she was. He just assumed she's just a commoner. Who cares? Whatever. Finders keepers. Um, so, anyways, he does find out she's on board. He talks to a gold guardian that's accompanying him and asks him, like, how come I wasn't informed? And she was like, I mean, it's kind of like a need to know basis, and it was kind of just verbally communicated. It wasn't like anything written up. And he's like, yeah, but I'm the one heading up this case. Yeah, but this is kind of just unrelated. Like, there wasn't a reason to tell you. He will find out that the Duchess is very valuable to him, and to actually anybody for that matter. Um, while she is supposed to be being delivered to the Duke on his way to going to investigate the bloodshed case, he finds out later that the whole goal in her being, taken to meet the Duke was just so the Duke can sacrifice her in order to level up to a higher spiritual status, if you will. And to be quite honest, Zukian could do the same thing. If he decided to sacrifice her, he also could level up. But our Zukian's a good guy, so he would never do that. He actually ends up getting her freedom and protecting her and keeping her safe. He doesn't have to do that, but he knows it's the right thing to do. And he even admits to her, like, she asks him point blank, like, could you also level up if I was sacrificed? And he was like, I mean, yeah, but we're not going to do that. So, he does protect her and keeps her safe. Zukian enlists the winged woman for help. He asks her to basically go talk to people and build an army and be on standby in Chuzhou, the town they are traveling to. Be on standby for when he calls, because he suspects something big. Why can't I talk today? Something big is going down, and he wants to be prepared. And so she does. And it's so funny because she gets the people together, and they're like, whatever the winged woman says, we will fight to the death for her honor. It's like, okay, they're very indebted to her. Her name is very well known throughout the land, you guys. When they reach Chizou, the location of where the bloodshed has been happening, they meet the commissioner, Zingguai. I'm sorry. I know I just butchered that. Except it's not. It's an imposter that has been playing him for a while now. We'll talk more about that later, but just know he's not the real commissioner for the town of Chizou. The other commissioner officials from Dafeng traveled with Zhu Qian and are the ones to greet Commissioner Zen. We'll put quotes, Commissioner Zen. It's not the real one. First, right off the bat, Guardians find him off. But they can't quite place why. They're like, something seems weird about him. And the other officials are like, no, he is a, upstanding guy. He can be trusted. Except he can't. Meanwhile, Zukian meets the real Commissioner Zen's assistant, and he plans to take him to go meet the real commissioner. They are ambushed, though, at first. But 2 gold gong guardians, a silver gong guardian, aka Zukian's supervisor, and his copper gong friends show up and defend and protect, which is super great to see. Zukian does meet the real Commissioner Zen, who's been hiding in a mountain outside of the town of Chizou. You learn that his entire family was slaughtered along with all of the townspeople of Chizou after Duke Zenbei ordered it and used their death with the help of the witch sect to become more powerful. The people that do appear to be in Chizou are basically a mirage, if you will, or a spell. It works much like a hologram, if you will, replaying the same events on repeat. Unless you really pay attention, you would not notice that the people are not real and that the same events are playing on repeat. With the winged woman's help and using her powers, Zukian is able to see inside of the commissioner's mind and see the terror firsthand as he witnessed what happened in Chizou. he witnessed what the true bloodshed was, which was a cover up. Uh, what was told that the bloodshed was an ongoing war. And come to find out, what it really was Duke Zenbei mass murdering the people and covering it up. And nobody knew. Zukian is quite emotional when he sees these events playing out in the commissioner's mind. He's very upset by this and has to go outside of the cave or the mountain, if you will, and like take a minute. Like, he's very upset at seeing this. He agrees to help the commissioner and return him to Dafeng, and he also plans to seek justice for the Chizu people and kill the Duke. Y'all heard that right. He plans to kill the Duke. Now, something to keep in mind is he is not of high enough status to be doing that. But do you think he cares? No. Now, a lot happens in this span of over 5 episodes. So to avoid going detail by detail, I am going to do a quick sum up of the final episodes. This video would be very lengthy if I went super in depth on the details. More encouragement to go watch it. It's totally worth it, 100%. The other officials from Dafeng notice the loop of events playing over and over in town while they're eating. They do figure it out, that it's a spell, and they start questioning, like, what's going on here? This is not normal. Where are the people? Because they do find out, like, this is very much not real. Later, they do find out that all the townspeople died. The mirage goes away, and all the dead bodies show up on the ground, and the officials are, like, literally brought to their knees in emotion, just shedding tears. They cannot believe that the entire town has been slaughtered and nobody is left, basically. So yeah, very emotional to everyone who finds out about this. Technically what caused this to happen is the Duke is so close to getting this, like, ultimate power that he wants to have. So the mirage just breaks, revealing the true nature of the town. The troops of the Duke are frozen. And I don't mean that literally. I mean, they were under a spell, if you will, for, like, murdering the people, but they are frozen in horror when they realize that they were part of this, that they helped slaughter these people. All of a sudden, like, they're awake and out of this trance, and all these memories come back, and many of them are actually not able to handle what they have done and commit suicide. They cannot handle the grief, even though they themselves were not of sound mind to do these actions. They were under a spell. That does not at all relieve the weight of what you did, right? So many of them are not able to handle the true events of what happened. Zukian does kill the Duke, and it is a very big fighting scene, and basically he uses the Duke's own sword to do it. The Duke's sword is a special kind of sword that recognizes basically true good in someone, right? So it recognizes the true good in Zukian, and, like, his noble person, and all of a sudden it wants to obey him. So Zukian's able to wield this sword and actually ends up striking the Duke down with his own sword. Pretty cool. And Zukian tells him, like, before he kills him, like, this, what you have done, like, this is why I am doing this. And the Duke is like, psh, you can't do that. You're not strong enough to take me on. Do you know what he has? He got Shinshu on his side, don't you know? So like I said, he does take the Duke out, and he decides, we need to leave pretty immediately. We need to take the Duke back to Dafeng so that we can then plead our case of getting the Duke stripped of nobility, because they don't want him to have any kind of an honorable funeral. They don't want him to be remembered or memorialized in any kind of way, because what he did was absolutely atrocious. And they also know that the Duke's right-hand man captain, who had a big play in all of this, under no spell, mind you, he just willingly did this, he has now fled Chizou. And they know that he's trying to get to the Emperor before they do, so that he can plead his own case to survive. So, like I said, he takes the Duke's body back, he takes the real commissioner back, and let me just tell you, it doesn't go well. Once he reaches Dafeng with the Duke's body, we find out that the Emperor, well, he's not happy. You would think he would be emotionally upset over what happened to the people of Chizou, but that's not it at all. He's not happy because the Duke was his brother. Yep. Anybody see that coming? I didn't. So the Duke was his brother, and so he realizes, Zukian killed him. And I'm just going to be honest. It's in this moment that we realize how much of a dick the Emperor was. The character, not the actor. I do want to make that perfectly clear. The actor is phenomenal. The character was not. The character is very much not a good person. And we all kind of suspected that throughout this whole show. We were like, he is not a good person. Like, there is something off about him. He is very dark and sinister. He is very dark and sinister. He immediately is like, draws a sword at Zukian and is like, you think I won't kill you? And it's like, I'm sorry, who's really like at fault here? Like, because it's not Zukian. Zukian did the right thing. He just brought justice to the town of Chizou. Excuse you, like, yeah. So anyways, Zukian's very upset that, like, he's not surprised, but he is upset at the same time, like, that, the Emperor cared more about the fact that my brother was slaughtered than all of these people. All of these innocent, we're talking mothers, children, fathers, innocent people were slaughtered just so his brother could gain some higher power. Make it make sense, you guys. The officials of Dafeng asked the Emperor basically remove the Duke's title for his atrocities. The Emperor is angry for many days. Many days. He doesn't want to see anybody. Many officials continue to come outside the Duke's palace doors, if you will, waiting to be seen in order to ask him, please remove his noble title. He does not deserve to be remembered for what he did. The Duke's captain official shows up, and he basically convinces the Emperor, because again, I told you, the Emperor's a dark person, he's evil. He shows up and convinces the Emperor that the real commissioner was the one that was behind all these deaths. Even though the commissioner himself is there, he's present, he told the story, Zukian backed it, like, and all the officials that were at Chizou when they found out about all this, like, everybody's backing the actual story. And the Emperor's just in disbelief. He's too busy being mad that his brother was killed to care about what happened. He does not care. So the Duke's right-hand man captain takes the opportunity to take advantage of this moment and basically tells him a lie of like, oh no, the commissioner was really behind it. Like, he's the reason they all died, blah, blah, blah. The Emperor demands the commissioner's immediate arrest. Now, when he also appoints the captain, you guys. He appoints him as, like, you can now stay here and, work with us or whatever. He appoints him as, like, a type of a official, if you will. So anyways, they go to arrest the commissioner. You guys, Lord Wei sent the Guardians, all of them, and it was the most beautiful thing to watch and the most emotional thing to watch. They all go there willing to protect the commissioner, and the guards are like, you dare defy the Emperor? And it's like, yes, we do. And the commissioner is like, I appreciate you so much. so much and thank Lord Wei for, his kindness. But I have to believe that things will work out, and I'm gonna just willingly go with them. I wish so much he hadn't. Um, in the last few episodes, as I said previously, oh God, don't make me cry. They're the most emotional episodes by far. I don't know if anybody else that has watched Guardians of the Fang felt the same way, but I could not stop crying. I was an ugly mess on my couch, you guys. Like, just absolutely just ugly mess on my couch, because while it was fantastic episodes, you truly feel the pain and emotions in these last 4 episodes. So let's talk about it. Um so they arrest the commissioner. They take him back to if you will, like the it'd be like the jail cellar under the palace is what I would call it, I guess. They take the commissioner back there, and the captain and one of the honestly snarky dark officials from Chizu, um they take him back to the jail cell or whatever, and they proceed to torture the commissioner. They know that what they're doing is wrong. They know that they lied. They know the commissioner is innocent, but who cares, right? They torture him literally to death and end up hanging him. And the story they give is that the commissioner was filled with so much grief after, all of this, that he killed himself. And we all know that's not true. Like, that man has suffered so much and survived so much. Why would he go out like that? Just saying. Zukian is actually the one that discovers his body. He goes to visit him in the jail and finds him dead. Zukian is absolutely heartbroken. You see him take him down from the rope. You see him proceed to clean him up. You see him talking to him, even though he's not really, alive anymore. He's talking to him. And, he told him, I wished so much that, you had taken things slower, that we had worked towards this instead of trying to force it so quickly to make things happen, right? He comes out of the jail. He is met by many officials who are like, what are you doing here? There's also guardians there too. They're like, what are you doing here? You're not allowed to be there. Who gave you permission to be at the jail? Blah, 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 blah. And he tells them that, the commissioner is dead. And you can see just how hurt he is, which let me just let you know that, like, it absolutely breaks my heart to see Wang Haidi being so emotional and upset and raw like that. I know he's acting, but it breaks my heart. Like, I never want to see that baby in pain. Oh, my heart. I love him so much. So anyways, he's very upset, and the guardians that are present can see this, and like, he's about to have no F's given again, you guys. It's coming back. It's coming back. Zukian decides enough is enough, and it's time to take control of the situation. He is sick and tired of such a corrupt government. At this point, Zukian goes to see his family, and he tells his family, I need you to leave Dafeng immediately. He knows and they know 2 things. 1, he knows that what he's about to do, they would turn around and come after his family. 2, the family knows he's about to do something big, and it's not going to end well. They also know what happened to the commissioner and know he's upset about this. Rightfully so. Absolutely rightfully so. So, it's kind of like a glance of understanding between the 2 parties. Like, he knows they're not safe. They know he's about to do something crazy. And it's just kind of like the silent acknowledgement of, like, okay. And his family's, his aunt is heartbroken, but she knows something needs to be done. Outside the Emperor's palace, capital, whatever you want to call it, outside of there, Zukian finds all the officials, Lord Wei. Lord Wei knows what's happened. He knows Zukian is very angry and tries to talk Zukian from the edge of the ledge. And he knows he's not going to convince him. because he knows what happened was wrong, and justice is only going to be served if you turn the other way. As Zukian walks down this pathway towards the right hand man, the captain, and his schemy and skeezy official, the Emperor's guards, they all turned their backs and said, "Justice for the commissioner. We're so sorry about the commissioner." Even the Emperor's guards know that it was wrong what happened. So they turn their backs. Lord Wei also turns his back. Because if we don't see it, it didn't happen. And he gets a hold of the captain, the right-hand man of the Duke, who's lying through his teeth. And he gets a hold of the skeezy official, who is also lying through his teeth. And he absolutely tears them a new one, if you will. He bloodies them to pieces. And then he attaches them to the back of his horse and drags them through town, you guys. It is the craziest display. Drags them through town. And somewhere in the center of town, there is a guillotine. He stops his horse, he hops off, he drags them up the steps. Townspeople start to gather around. He tells the townspeople what happened. How, they killed the commissioner in his jail cell. How the commissioner did nothing wrong. He also basically holds his sword to their throats and says, "Tell them. Tell them what you did. Admit it." And they're both scared. They are terrified. They're crying. They're terrified. And they're like, yeah, we did it. We did it. And the townspeople say, "Please, Zukian, bring justice for the commissioner." This is also a very moving scene. So, can I even retell this without crying? Okay. So, he's getting ready to bring justice for the commissioner. He is about to assassinate both of these people in town in front of everybody. The guards show up just as he's about to and tell him, "We are here to arrest you. You need to stop." You guys, out of nowhere, the biggest thing happened, and I absolutely ugly cried, and I'm like slapping my leg, going, "Oh my gosh!" So out of nowhere, some of the Realm Sect friends show up to defend. Hear me, all of the Gold Gong Guardians, his Silver Gong leader, and his Copper Gong friends show up, and y'all, the Bureau shows up. The Bureau doesn't intervene in anything, and they showed up to protect him. We love to see it. Oh my gosh. Okay, so they all came to protect him. They all knew Zukian was doing the Lord's work that day, y'all. So Zukian says, "I'm gonna let y'all handle this," before executing both of them in front of everyone for killing the commissioner. Zukian then says, "Lord Wei, I quit." Y'all, ugly tears again. Just rolling down my face. That's all I'm saying. And you pan over to Lord Wei, and a single tear sheds from his eye, because there's nothing he can do to protect him now. The other guardians are in shock. They turn, their mouths are dropped. They're like, "What did you just say?" They're all just in shock. Zukian drops his guardian badge, and he sits on the front steps and begins to cry. And the spirit of Commissioner Zen shows up beside him and says, "Thank you." And Zukian cries and smiles. I don't think I can do this without crying. Such a moving show, you guys. Okay, I'll do this. Whew. The Emperor appears and comes in, guns blazing, metaphorically speaking. No, uh, not really, but close enough, anyhow. He comes in on a horse with a dark looking bow and arrow. Now, what I mean by that is you can see some kind of like dark magic around that arrow. It's not a normal bow and arrow. So it's tainted by dark magic or something in some form or fashion, and he's got it aimed right at Zukian. You guys, the Realm Sect members, the Guardians, Superhero, they all jump in front to block it. We love that. And then all of a sudden, time freezes. It's as if you see this force come through like a. How do I put this? I don't know how to explain it. It's like a force, almost like, you know how you see in movies, like if an explosion happens and it goes, pew, right? And you see like, I don't know, like debris go, and you see like almost like a, oh, I don't know how to explain it. I hope you know what I mean, but like a, like a, and it's like, right? Maybe not hit that, and it's like a. So that happens. This magical like force comes through all of Dafeng, and all of a sudden, within the blink of an eye, Zukian is gone. They immediately stop fighting. They're frozen. They're like, "What were we just doing? Why are we here?" Like none of them remember what all just took place. Nobody. I said I could get through this. I'm not doing a very good job. My eyes are watering. Anyways, so yeah, he disappears. Nobody can remember what just happened. Nobody. Fast forward. That's right. Fast forward. Because time moves on. Fast forward, you see Zukian is perfectly fine, but no one remembers him. He even runs into his old family, and they don't recognize him. What's crazy about this is it's like in their subconscious they recognize that he's familiar to them, but they don't know why. So for example, when his aunt sets the table for dinner, she still sets it for 6 instead of just 5, but she can't tell you why. She chalks it up to like I don't know, maybe it's an accident. And then there's other occurrences that are similar to that one where someone might freeze where they're at as if they're like almost like deja vu happening. Like, this is so familiar to me, but why? And they can't remember him. The only person that remembers him is this older guy that's like telling the stories of Zukian in town, which honestly would just be looked at as like, oh, that's just an old geezer telling stories. Like, nobody remembers who Zukian is. It's as if he never existed. Zukian who? Zukian what guardian? Which is tragic. Zukian at the end, though, meets the dark figure, the one that wanted him so badly, right? The hypnotizer from the witch sect. Zukian meets him, and he learns that, he's the reason that Zukian disappeared and why he's still alive, why no one remembers him. He did all that. In fact, Lord Wei ends up passing away, and the dark figure has his body brought back to the capital for a proper burial because Zukian asked for that. You learn that this mysterious dark figure is actually none other than Zukian's real dad, and that he has plans for Zukian. Did anybody guess that? Like, I did not. If you had told me that was his dad, I'd be like, you lying. You lying. No way. But yeah, it's his dad, which is just mind-boggling. But that also leaves it open for a possible season 2. So there's that. Although, I know what you're thinking. Do we ever see Yanglin again? Did you forget that Zukian and Dafeng was all a mystery dinner game and wasn't real? Or was it? To answer your question, yes, we see Yangling again. And when he snaps out of the game, he looks real disoriented. Which, when you get completely immersed, in a game, that can totally happen. That's totally valid. he gets up and goes to leave, and his friends are all talking about how great this game was and that they should totally come back. The you could call him like the game master, the guy that's running the game. He says, Yangling, did you understand what that dark figure was trying to tell you about needing you? And he's like, no. Game master says, well, maybe next time in Dafeng. Which again leaves it open for Guardians of the Dafeng 2. Debatable if there'll actually be one. There's a lot of like fan speculation of we don't think that will happen. Breaks my heart because I feel like they totally could do a whole nother season and it would be fantastic. Yes, I said what I said. So, my overall thoughts about this drama is that I am so used to watching romance dramas or more serious type dramas. I am not used to watching a more comedic fighting style drama, so it was definitely new and different for me personally. I enjoyed seeing Wang Haidi in a different role than what he's used to portraying. It was great opportunity for him because it showed that he really can play any character and knock it out of the park. This drama gave Wang Haidi the chance to grow and expand in his acting, and I couldn't be more proud of him for how hard he worked and for all the hard work he put into this drama to truly make it his own. To truly become one with Zukian. He did a phenomenal job. Guardians of the Fang definitely took top spot in my life for favorite drama. I've seen so many dramas, and this took top spot. Special thank you to the entire Guardians of the Fang cast for their hard work and for giving us, the fans, a drama to laugh with, cry with, and love with all our hearts. Remember, it's not too late to watch this drama, so if you're looking for a drama with action and fighting scenes, a little bit of romance, and a whole lot of comedy, look no further than Guardians of the Fang, streaming on WeTV, Tencent, and Viki. Thank you so much for watching my third video encompassing Guardians of the Fang, episodes 27 through 40. I really appreciate you bearing with me through all of this. It was definitely an experience to take a drama and basically break it apart into 3 videos to basically give a full, pretty detailed synopsis of the show. I did learn a lot from this. I don't think, unless you guys ask for it, I don't think I'll probably do something like this again. More than likely, I will probably just watch a drama and then do one video that talks about it as like an overall summary. Just because, man, there was a lot of time and effort put into this, and I recognize that most people do not want to spend an hour listening to, me break apart a drama. But honestly, I felt that this drama needed that. I felt that it was going to be absolutely worth it, and it was. I absolutely loved it. And, special shout out and thanks to, again, Wang Haidi, Tian Ziwei, and the entire Guardians of the Fang cast. Phenomenal work. Absolutely loved it, and we appreciate all the work that you put into it to make it what it was. Already we are seeing them win awards for it and getting recognized for it, which is absolutely amazing to see. They absolutely deserve that. Please look forward to my upcoming videos that I have coming. I am still working on doing a video very soon talking about what all you need to get prepared for your first K-pop concert or your next K-pop concert. Speaking of which, guys, where are my 18Es? They are going on tour again. Yes, and this time they're actually coming closer to my hometown, so I definitely plan to try and go get tickets. Speaking of, tickets go on sale next week, so make sure you check out Ticketmaster and all the other ticket retailers. Check out ATEEZ's website and social media pages to find out everything you need to know in order to get tickets. I wish all 18Es the best of luck. I have no doubts it's going to be an amazing show. I am super excited myself. I really hope I myself can get tickets. I have not seen ATEEZ before, but I am a big fan of theirs, and I really am looking forward to seeing them live one day. So I hope that, the K-pop gods will be with me, and maybe I can score a couple of tickets. That would be amazing. Again, Stray Kids concert is coming up in like a couple of months, and I am eagerly preparing for it. So, thank you again for watching. Peace and love.